Hello there, Cyber Scrambler. How's it going in Jacksonville today? What's the weather like? Scooter weather, hopefully. It's kind of cold over here. This part of the world. How you guys doing out there? Sorry, just kind of waiting to see who's going to join. How's it going, retro? Yeah, the new RS. Interesting. On a second look, I noticed the one difference seems to be they extended the fenders. And they're a little shinier. But that's the only difference I can tell between the new RS and the old RS from just looking at it, obviously. But I didn't know if that. I thought they might redesign it or at least have some make it look slightly different than the normal than a regular one. And once again, I think I already said, but I don't know why they chose to completely abandon the RS name because I think it's got a lot of positive attention, and so rebranding it, it's whatever. As long as it holds up, the V9 will do fine long term. But they're kind of heading in a different direction as far as what the scooter's called. And I mean, the only reason I could think of is just because of some slight issues with the first iteration. But that's somewhat to be expected with scooters. Everyone kind of knows to kind of hold on tight whenever there's a brand new scooter come to market because you never know what's going to go wrong with it. So yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. If they fix the problems, however they chose to do that, I'm not. It's one of those things where I'm not 100% sold on that, and so I wouldn't be ready to jump in, right away. I kind of would like to see some others kind of test it out first and see how that goes. Same thing with some of these other new scooters, besides the Daytona. Don't know why that one just really stands out to me and calls to me, and you know, like I said, I like the idea of the style of the scooter, the huge. I mean the the dual stems are so wide, and it's so beefy that it just seems like it can handle anything you throw at it, even from a an off-roading standpoint, which I'm not going to ever do a bunch of off-roading anyway on the scooter, but to know that it can do that, those 13-inch tires, that's going to help out quite a bit with that. Um, but just those beefy dual stems are just impressive, and the scooter being able to do what it can do, possibly at that speed with the stability of a dual stem, a really beefy dual stem, and like I said, I heard, to keep it under $4,000, they've totally knocked it out of the park. If that's the case, not that I would be going that fast, but it just once again, knowing that the scooter can handle that, knowing that you're pretty much safe going up to that high of a speed without having to worry about any kind of instability. And the scooter looks super stable. Uh, Once again, and I like the design. It's just, yeah, it's just really, really cool. I'm still debating. I don't know enough about the scooter yet, to be honest. I know some basic specs, and and that's about it. So it's it's impressive. It's impressive, looking at it. But I don't know necessarily uh, in any details about the 13-inch tires themselves. A couple of scooters that are real interesting have the split rims and make for easier tire changes and so forth. So I think that's a pretty cool benefit to having that. And once again, the Hyperion is seriously interesting to me, but once it's a new scooter, and so whether or not they've got all the kinks worked out is up in the air because it hasn't really been reviewed to a long term yet. Uh, the RX-7, I think I talked about that in a video, but it's very interesting that they lowered the price again. Came back down after they announced these new panels. They went up in price $100 back to 3,800. They started out at 39, and supposedly they said they would only do that for a short period of time, and then it would not go back down again. And then, of course, it went down not too much longer after they had a slight decrease. Sales didn't meet expectations, put it that way, and mostly because of poor execution on their part. So when that happened, they lowered the price a bit to 38.99, and then I saw it drop around Black Friday or the holidays to 37.99. And then once again, I heard the new panels were being updated, and and then I saw the price jump up back up to 38.99, and then it hasn't been long, and they're already dropping it back to 37.99. So I think they're trying to get I think they're trying to get buyers in the door to see uh, how it plays out, how it goes. But yeah, I think it's really interesting, and some of these companies are sort of doing what they're doing to try to make it be competitive and still at the same time um, offer a good product that has longevity. Seems like they kind of rush into things pretty quickly without proper testing and so forth, quality control. But it it comes across at times with their flaws, such as the RS and the RX-7, uh, the GTR, some other ones. Sure, there's more, but those just off the top, and so yeah, the the eMove Roadrunner also has split rims, and I saw a change actually. I was watching a video where they did a put PMT tires on there. I wasn't sure you could even put PMT tires on something on the Roadrunner Pro, so they put PMT tires, and the tire change was really easy and really smooth, and it didn't have any problem beating the tire, getting the tire beat to seal, and simply just took it apart, put the tire on, tightened it back up again, and aired it up. That's pretty sweet if it can do that. So I saw that. That was really nice, and that was, like I said, that was the Roadrunner Pro, which I have been considering somewhat of an upgrade. Hey there, James. How's it going? What's the weather like in Fort Myers? Hopefully you're able to still ride your scooter. Florida. Yeah, there you go. Exactly. Yeah, yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. But yeah, so I was the Roadrunner Pro is a cool little cool little scooter, and like I said, I seen the PMT tires upgrade, and that would definitely be something I would like to do if I did get that scooter. Considering especially the ease, how easy it is to do, I thought that was really impressive. And then of course, it can go 50 miles an hour, which, for a little scooter like that, I'm not sure, I'd want to go that fast on it personally. But you also have like I said, upgrade the shocks, but I think they're like $70 or something like that to upgrade those, and they're pretty decent. I wish you could change out the front suspension, or the front suspension was adjustable, but other than that, the scooter looks pretty solid, and like I said, it's pretty zippy, kind of little mini bike, zippy scooter. It looks like you could get away with riding it just about anywhere. That's one of the things that kind of makes me question getting the Segway Zyber. It looks like an awesome scooter, but I don't know if it's practical to ride on the sidewalks. I mean, it looks like a really nice sit down scooter, or even a electric motorcycle, moped, something like that, but a bit too beefy to get away with riding on the sidewalk, or even it being a good idea to ride that much of a vehicle on the sidewalk, because it is kind of, like I said, kind of beefy, and takes up a lot of space, a lot of room if you had to pass somebody up or something like that. So the eMove Roadrunner Pro is kind of small and nimble. It supposedly even performs a bit better when you put the PMTs on there. So like I said, I wasn't aware you could put PMTs on there, and I've just been watching a few videos on the Roadrunner Pro. Hey there, Big Boy Speed EV. How's it going? So yeah, once I saw you could put PMT tires on it, also how easy it is to do, I like that a lot. It'd be nice to have to be able to just change out your tires, boom, boom, air them up. That's a really nice thing. I think most people that have changed some tires in their history will agree that that's an impressive setup. So yeah, I like that idea. Also with the solar Hyperion, having those, and if that's just as simple. I haven't seen enough to know if it is that simple. But if it is that simple, and you can just pop it open, put a tire on, pop it closed, air it up, not having to go to any special trouble to get the B to seal. That's one of the questions is, how easy is it to get the B to seal uh, once you assemble the wheel, and with the tire on it. So if like I said, I saw an example with changing out to PMTs on the Roadrunner Pro with their split rim design, and it's amazing, and it's pretty cool. So I personally would lean towards that. Yeah. Hopefully it wasn't too bad out in the snow. I'd be a little nervous to ride my scooter in the snow. I mean, it snowed around here a bit recently, and I've taken my scooter out only a couple times. It wasn't in the snow though. I have street tires, and my biggest fear, I'd like to test it in the snow, but I've got those CST street tires on my Klima, and it would just be, I think I'd fall. I mean, I wouldn't trust it over anything like that. If I had some off-road knobby tires or something like that, I might try. But yeah, actually bought some things to wear if I do want to go out on a colder day. Of course, it wouldn't be with a bunch of snow on the ground. But if it was just a little colder, maybe like 40 degrees, I don't want it to be like freezing. But if it was like above freezing, if it's 50 and sunny, I'm pretty happy with that. I can take the scooter out. But when it gets into the 40s or it's 50 and kind of overcast, it's not enjoyable. But so I got some glove liners to kind of wear under my gloves. The gloves I have now are um, they're vented and so forth, so they're good for like summertime, but they're not so good for when it's a little chilly out. So I got some glove liners to go inside there. I haven't tried got out to try it again. It's been like super cold since it warmed up a little bit, but I got to go out the other day. So yeah, I want to try, going out in the a little bit more cold weather. Nothing crazy, but if it's fairly clear out as far as uh, ice or snow or something like that, I'd like to, give it a test, put a little bit, prepare for the cold a little bit more. I mean, I know technically I'll lose battery range and stuff like that. I'm not going to do it, constantly, but I just want to go to see how it would go for like a pretty chilly day on the scooter if I'm kind of, dressed up for it. It'll be kind of fun, I think. Maybe a short ride just to test it out. What happened with the light issue, James? I'm sorry, I don't remember. The Roadrunner Pro? Are you talking about? You're talking about the RX-7. Yeah, well, here's the thing. The RX-7, I might have mentioned this before, but they didn't. They've replaced the panels with the Road Glow panels. It's supposed to be a better made panel. Yeah, gotcha. And 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 so the panels were replaced on the new, or at least they're going out on the new ones. So the ones that you're ordering now are supposed to have the updated Road Glow panels, lighted panels. So it looks the same, but uh, they connect. There's an easier connector so that you can switch them out if you need to, and but supposedly you're not supposed to have to need to. Uh, at all, but they're supposed to be a lot more durable. So, assuming you do run into some problems, you can switch them out, but they're supposed to be much less likely to have the same kind of problems. I'm a little skeptical of that. I think switching it out easy, making that easier is great. But the problem is, once again, they're not honoring the previous customers, you know, uh, by giving them the new panels. If they're really that much more durable and better than the previous panels, and they've kind of admitted that, but they still won't replace the old ones. They'll just simply let them upgrade. For a fee, they can upgrade to the new panels. And I'm like, why would you charge somebody a fee to upgrade to panels when the reason that you got the new panels is because the old panels weren't performing to expectations. So I think the range, I don't remember the range. I want to say I can go see what it says. I can tell you stated range. The I know the speed is supposed to be 60, 65, maybe. I think tested. It says up to 70 miles per hour on the site. But I don't think that's the case. Obviously, range is going to be lower than what they state. See if I can just toss. Max range is up to 70 miles. I want to say it was something like 40, if I remember correct. I think top speed was around 65 and the range was around 40. See something here. I might have tested specs. Guys, give me just a second. I'll see if I can. I keep all this stuff handy, man. I obsess over this stuff. It's crazy. I don't know if I have those. So, 63.2. Gotcha. Yeah, I knew it was something like that. 60-ish top speed. And like I said, range is stated. It's a 72 volt. Let me see if I can put a. I have a calculator here that I built. What size are those motors? Yeah, I estimate the range to be about just over 50 miles based on my calculations. So 60-ish miles per hour top speed and about 50-ish miles of range. That's assuming top performance. You're using it in top performance mode. Segway add-on battery packs. I'm not sure. I haven't seen. I don't know if I've seen a lot on. Are you saying that you can? Um, you'll be able to have an add-on battery pack for like let's say the GT3 Pro that they're coming out with. Not sure about that. I know that like I said, the Segway Zyber was coming out with the dual battery or single battery, and you can add that way. But I wasn't aware that there's like a battery pack that you can add to, let's say, the GT3 Pro that will increase the range. That's interesting. Maybe speed and range. I mean, on the on the Zyber, it actually increases performance. So, wow, that's interesting. That is interesting. How long have you had the Yumi Hawk Pro big boys? And what? Tell me what all your five scooters. What five scooters do you have right now? Curious. Yeah, I like the idea though of a scooter bag that adds like I said adds a range at least and likely power if you're not utilizing the full potential of the system, like what I expect is the case with the The Zyber, I feel like adding that extra battery kind of opens up the potential to use those motor controllers a bit more, and less voltage sag because of that, and sort of increasing the efficiency because you have more battery. So that's interesting. Like I said, if they had something like that built in to the to let's say the GT3 Pro, where adding a battery would not only increase range, the little battery pack that you're talking about would not only increase range but actually increase the performance of the scooter as far as maybe acceleration at least. If I got a commuter scooter, it probably would be something more like the Apollo Go or the Apollo City, depending on how much you want to spend. About $500 difference there, five to 4 to 5, somewhere in there. But right now, about 400. The Apollo Go is 1099, 1100, and then the city is about 1499. There's some others as well, but those are nice, commuter scooters that come to my mind, and something that's a little bit more um, reasonable in price and kind of easy to tote around. I like the Max G3. I'm not a fan of the single motor scooters, and that's just one thing that I just it's hard for me to wrap my head around. I mean, if you live somewhere, I suppose where there's no hills and you're not that concerned about acceleration, I suppose you know that something like the Max G3 would be acceptable. And then some scooters are fine, but I've heard good things about VMAX scooters, but I just don't think they can really compete with uh, the dual motor scooters. They're probably good for single motor scooters. I'm sure they're good for them. They perform well maybe compared to others, but I just have a hard time believing that a single motor scooter of the same type of specs could outbeat a dual motor scooter. I mean, you can get a more powerful, like the Segway GT1 might outperform my uh, Hover One Journey Max, but it's probably not likely to outperform my Klima. So, uh, yeah, that's kind of it's kind of where my mind is at. What I'm kind of thinking, and so I do like the Max G3, and I like the new one. Looks great. I just wish it had at least an option to go with a dual motor Max G3, but they don't have they so far they have only the GT2 and then coming out with the GT3 Pro. So it's like they want only one, like, super decent sized dual motor scooter. The ZT3 Pro, I think, would be nice in a dual motor version, and the Max, but it's more of a different, multiple terrain type of scooter. It's not really what I consider to be a commuter scooter, um, but the Max G3 is. And if it was more like the Apollo Pro, the Apollo City, I think it would be awesome. Nice, lots of high boys. You must really like the high boys, right? Um, that's cool. So, what do you think about the awesome Gallop and the Pegasus? That's cool. Yeah, yeah, you have a nice little selection of scooters there. Is your Hawk Pro your favorites? Um, I've heard good things about the awesome Gallop in general and the Varla Pegasus. Do you have the solid tire Pegasus or the new one with the electric XP light? I gotcha. Do you have the solid tire Pegasus or the tubeless pneumatic setup for the Pegasus? Just curious. I don't think I'm not a fan of solid tires. Any scooter to me that has solid tires is a super cheap scooter. Nice. How long have you had your awesome Gallop, James? I like some of the awesome scooters. To me, I mean, I've been watching them a little while, and they seem to be. I thought they used to be a better deal. And maybe it's because they're becoming more popular and they're actually decent scooters. Uh, awesome. That they're starting to be a little more pricey than what I remember. Like I thought the Gallop. I mean, I know I don't even see a Gallop on here anymore. I see the Gallop SR1, the Leopard DT1. No, it's kind of cool, but it's like 1,200 bucks. But just a regular awesome Gallop, I think was like 999, and a really good scooter. But I haven't seen that scooter again. I don't know if they maybe it's on Amazon or something like that. Not sure. I don't see it on their site though. I just see the Leopard, the Gallop SR1, which is like over $1,300. Wow, 3,000 miles. That's awesome. The same brake pads. Wow, 3,000 miles. I hope I don't have to change my brake pads for 3,000 miles. But yeah, awesome has increased their line. Like I said, they have a Gallop SR1, but it's now 1,350 bucks. Um, the awesome Leopard is the DT1 is 800 bucks, but I mean, they have a picture of a dual motor scooter, but it's also the same picture as the one that says uh, the DT1 Pro. So I think the DT1 Pro is dual motor and the DT1 is single motor. 41 miles per hour on the Gallop. Hmm, interesting. Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, I wouldn't. I know they don't have the solid tire version. Is it possible to switch your current setup with the solid tires uh, to the pneumatic tires, or is a different setup completely? Just curious if that's a possibility. I consider doing something like that with my Journey Max scooters. Trying to get the see if I could put pneumatic tires on there that are tubeless instead of the tubes, because man, I got so tired of changing those tubes. So I considered a lot of different things, and I tried to put a solid tire on there, and I hated it. Uh, so but and I've seen it done. I've seen it done. Not a lot. I've seen it done on on YouTube. Someone that successfully put a larger uh, tire on a tubeless tire on a setup that came with the tubed tire, and they just they it comes with a little stem that you just pull through the where the hole already is, and and then add the tire. But beating that, getting that tire bead to seal on something like that probably be seriously complicated. Awesome, yeah. That seems to be a common thing with scooter companies and their level of customer service when you have to reach out. So you have to get a scooter that you never had to reach out about, which is pretty impossible. And then you get crappy service when you try to reach out with a problem. So that's a serious area of opportunity for most scooter companies, I think, right now. And I like at least that they're talking about it, that it's being brought up, and that a lot of companies such as Voro Motors are trying to make improvements and fix things that are broken, and sort of move forward in a way. So denying responsibility in general, whether it's our Roadrunner talking about the RX-7 panels and saying that that they're not going to replace them for the old customers, that there's really nothing wrong with them, and there's definitely something wrong with them. That's why they're changing, but they won't fully commit to that. And similar things. Own your mistakes, own your problems, and that's the only way to move forward in the right direction. So if you say, "Hey, we know we did poorly, and we're working on it, and we've solved some problems, and we've put things in place, policies and procedures in place to help things going forward." That's a sign of trying to get better. That's a sign of trying to make progress, and that's something as a customer that I like to see because uh, the other approach is like we don't have any problems. We have the best customer service out there. We've always had the best customer service out there, and everybody knows that, and so forth. And then how do I hear stories to the contrary? So if in general people had good experiences, you're going to hear it. Of course, you're probably going to hear more bad experiences. It's too it's too complicated to. Oh well. eh, in any case, people are gonna complain first. If they have a problem, they're gonna complain first. You gotta keep those numbers down. You gotta keep that to a very minimum. And in general, during in conversations, people will also tell you though, I really had a good experience with the scooter. I really had a good experience with the customer service. I haven't heard any personal experiences where, in general, across the board, that somebody just had a wonderful customer service experience. I mean, I've heard Wired Rides, has pretty good customer service. Off the top of my head, I mean, some people have had good experiences here and there, but most of what I hear, uh, just in general, is slow, unresponsive, you know, wanting to ask too many questions to help solve a problem. That seems to be a very common thing. It's always like, "Well, do you have a video? Can you prove it?" And I don't, for whatever reason, and the way they had to support these scooters, and there being a lack of infrastructure for servicing these scooters, and it kind of ends up being on the customer themselves to end up solving these problems. It's a tricky landscape to maneuver through, and so the better they do that, the more successful that they'll be. I see. I got you, big boys. Yeah, that sucks. That does suck. Uh, yeah, I think if people would be more what open and honest about their feedback and say, this isn't good, or they try to paint a pretty picture and so forth. It can be misleading if for like solid tires. Solid tires are something I think are it's the worst of the worst. I mean, there's some people that like them. I mean, I don't see how, but there are some people that like the idea of not having to worry about a flat, and you absolutely don't have to worry about a flat with solid tires. It's not possible. So that's about the only way that you can completely solve the problem with the flat is to get solid tires. Even pre-sealed tires and so forth can have issues. There's a way to, um, it's possible. You can get a slice, a gash, uh, a sidewall puncture, maybe where the sealant isn't so prevalent. Something like that would could cause your tire to go flat. The only 100 solid tires suck. So for me, it's just a better way to. I'll just carry a patch kit. I have a plug kit for my Klima just so in case it goes flat, I can plug it on the spot, and I have a electric pump to air it back up again. And so that's my plan. If I have a flat on the Klima, but luckily I haven't had to worry about that so far. And so I'm sure at some point I will. I'm sure at some point I will. I don't want to pre-treat them. I really don't. I know there's stuff out there to do it with, and some people really like it, but I personally just I like not. I'd rather patch my own tires and plug them and move on. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I don't like slime very much. Yeah, retro shaver, dude. Yeah, why don't you try to send some pictures of what you're talking about? I'd like to see those, how you wrap those up. That'd be interesting. Yeah, have you had success with slime, James? I tried slime in my Journey Max scooters, and I did not have success. They didn't seal anything. They were more messy than they were helpful. I had two back tire flats. One, I don't think slime could have helped anyway because it was end up being a slice on the valve stem, and so slime isn't going to stop that. But the second one was a simple puncture that I thought slime should have prevented or helped reseal. It did not, absolutely did not. I uh, I even put air back in and it just came spewing out. So yeah, it didn't seal. The slime didn't help me at all. I don't know, if you had better experience, but I still have a bottle of slime in my bag that I have with me just in case of an emergency. But yeah, like I said, I know the armadillos is better, and I actually might get some to carry with me. Like I said, in case I get like a side puncture in the sidewall, then I can't plug the sidewall, so it'd have to be on the other on the tread part of the tire where to be able to plug it effectively. So I would like to carry right now. I have slime, which I probably would try, but armadillos is indeed better for scooter tires. And I might get a bottle just to carry around with me, but it would just be a preventative uh, for me. And then I I I, I think that I think they can serve their purpose, but I don't want to. I don't. I'm not really into. I mean, I get it. I get it, but I don't mind patching it up. I don't mind at all. It would suck if it was a little cold out or something like that, or way too hot and so forth. But aside from that, I mean, I'd be happy just plugging it, correcting, and get back on the road. I thought the same thing, uh, big boys as well. I thought about the same thing, such as like let's say the in motion uh, emotion climber. It has tubes. Right. When I got my Journey Max, it was $1,000. The climber was $1,000, and so it was like twice as much as my Journey Max. And I didn't see the point in going up that high to a price for that scooter. But after yeah, I'm obsessive with my tire pressure. I measure it every time before I go out. I actually want to get the little gauges, the little tire pressure monitor system on the Klima, just while I'm riding, so I can. Okay, yeah, yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, I had the same experience with slime for real. It clogged up all of my 3 out of 4 valve stem cores I had to replace because it completely clogged them up in my Journey Max scooters. And I'm sure if I continue to ride them as much, I don't anymore because I have the Klima, that fourth one I would have to replace. So I've had to replace 3 out of 4 valve stem cores because of the slime getting in the cores. I once again I'm pretty adamant about checking my tire pressure before I ride, and so I was constantly checking the tire pressure in my Journey Max scooters and releasing a little bit of air, adding a little bit of air, so forth to get the tire pressure where I wanted. And I didn't have the I didn't have the system, the electronic pump like I do now, air pressure pump, whatever you want to call it, and inflator. I didn't have that, so I was doing with a bike pump, and so I air it up, and I mean it's okay. You got the gauge on the bike pump, but there's also when you pull it off. So I check it with the tire regular tire gauge, And when I got to the point that I wanted to be at, then I, cap it up. And I lost tire pressure in the Hover Max, Journey Max scooters, Hover One Journey Max scooters quite a bit, uh, frequently. And so I found myself testing them every single time. I don't lose as much in the Klima. Those tires are much better for maintaining air pressure. But and another thing is I didn't have any room. I was going to get the tire pressure gauges for the Journey Max, but that's probably a little overkill. But they wouldn't fit anyway. They're too big. There's just not enough room. So I think the Klima that I'll be able to do it with the Klima, and I actually have some that I'm really looking at that aren't too bad, and comes with a little deal that you put on the dash, or what you want to call it, the handlebar setup there, that you can see the tire pressure when you're going around, so you can monitor it like actively. I gotcha. Yeah, I'd ride mine around. Of course, it was the back tires for the most part that lost pressure on the Journey Max, and they're just small, like 8.5-inch tube tires, and just me riding around. How do I like my scooter, my Klima? Uh, yeah, I like my Klima a lot, and the things that I think that I would change. The biggest thing is the stem. Probably, the stem is pretty flimsy, you can feel the flex in it a bit, uh, and and that leads to the stem creak. I've just finished, actually the second time I've had to add lubricant to the stem joint so that, it doesn't creak anymore, and I think that flexibility of the stem and the fact that it's not very beefy, maybe very small, especially at the top, and it isn't really that big at the bottom. So it's already probably a tad small at the bottom, and then it even gets smaller as you go to the top. So I don't think that's beefy enough for the speeds this scooter goes at. Uh, and also, once again, I think it contributes to the creaking that happens because of the flexibility of the stem. Uh, Now, it's a way different scooter, but my Journey Max has a really beefy stem for a little cheap scooter, and there's no play in the stem. There's no, I mean, it's a little tank of a scooter, but uh, yeah, I know that the Climber is 599, only $100 more than what I paid for my Journey Max. So I definitely would have went that way had it been only $100 more than the Journey Max. I would certainly would have went with the Climber. Uh, but yeah, 599 I think is a good deal for the Climber, and it does have split rims. I believe they're 10-inch tires, but they're tubed and this with a split rim, so easy to change the tires. So the thing that I'm most uh, intrigued about are the tubeless tires that have split rims, and how easy that is to change those tires. That seems almost too good to be true for me. So that's a serious interest of mine. So I really hope the eMove Daytona scooter has split rims, but I don't know for sure. Yeah, I don't open it up to the grease. If I got like thicker grease, maybe, but I would feel like just the basic, just me just um, you know unlatching the stem, and just kind of putting some lubricant down into the joints. I mean, it's pretty easy, and if I have to do it every couple of months, I guess it's not the end of the world. It's part of the maintenance and very cheap. It didn't cost anything hardly, so um, it's not that big of a deal. It's just a slight annoyance. It doesn't it doesn't hurt anything. It's nothing that crazy, but it's just one little complaint that I've got. Um, what else about the Klima that I would change? In general, I really like it. I don't have any, I don't really have any things that I don't like. I think, their quality control, if they had the right brakes on it when I got it and properly seated the rotor, that I had to reseat to get because it was rubbing the caliper support bracket, and so that was, that was just a quality control issue. The scooter itself, once I got those small little things dialed in, I haven't had any more issues out of it. Everything's pretty nice. The suspension, I mean, obviously is spectacular. I haven't had any uh, problems, like I said, with any flats or any issues. No error codes. Really nothing. Most of the problems were with the brakes, which at least the Klima and maybe some Namis too have had a history of brake problems. But I know the Klima for sure, and I thought all those had been addressed and fixed. But I still hear problems, and I have problems with mine only when I got it only a few months ago. So in general, I really like it. It rides really well. It get 40 to 50 miles of range, which was a pleasant expectation. It exceeded my expectations. It was a pleasant surprise, and so there's a lot of things that that I expected out of the scooter, that have been better. A lot of the most important things are what I expected. The suspension is wonderful, and I expected that. I mean, that's one of the reasons I got it. The Some of the little things, like I said, the quality control, surprised me a little bit, and then I wasn't too happy with the way that Fluid handled the support. I kind of get it now because once again, I think they were ramping down on their support staff and so forth, and so they probably had one guy handling all the all their problems, and so he was working crazy all day to answer all these emails and so forth. I'm assuming, so that it does explain it. Why I probably got such slow service from them when I was trying to solve my problem with the brakes. Had that been better, it would have been acceptable. I wasn't completely, um, under the when I got the scooter. I was a little bit prepared. I knew there were people that had problems, and my one of my biggest fears was that I would get it and have to do some work on it before I could actually ride it, and that's pretty much what happened. There's multiple problems with the brakes, besides just the brake sensor, the left brake leaked brake fluid, and I'm not really not sure why that is. Once I got the new brakes, I didn't even worry about it. I considered trying to put some brake, rebleed the brakes and see if they would work, because I did temporarily fix the sensor problem by taking some hot glue and putting it on the inside of the brake lever so that when it hardened up, it actually created another little gap, um, or kind of took up the space in the gap so that it would make a good connection with the brake sensor, uh, and so uh, button or whatever. So that's how it works when you release the brakes, that it closes, and then you pull it, it opens it up. So when it closes, that turns the brake lights off. When it's open, they stay on. So mine were staying on the entire time, and because no matter how much I tighten that little brake lever cable, it still would only be about this much away from the sensor point. So I added some. First, I took some tape. I took some duct tape and I folded it up and I stuck it in there, and that worked very little. That was just for me to test it and see if it worked. But I tried. It would just come out, and I still didn't have any good brakes because they were only regen brakes, and I even turned the regen brakes up real high. I loosened the front brake on the right because I would get thrown over if I tried to use it. So I ran around pretty much with no brakes except the regen brakes, which don't stop you, they only slow you down. And so I did that just hardly ever. I mean, I couldn't go over 10 miles an hour because I needed to have plenty of time to stop. I wasn't going to be able to stop really quickly on the scooter, so I wouldn't go over 10 miles an hour with the brakes like this. But once I after that, that kept coming out, and I'd have to stop and fix, and it was annoying. So I took a hot glue gun, and I applied some hot glue to the inside of those levers, um, and that created a pretty hard little surface there for it to do a similar thing with be a little bit more stable setup, and uh, and that actually worked. They're still like that right now. I don't know how long that would have lasted. I mean, eventually, using it back and forth, you would think that it would come loose in there and fall, and I'd be without a hot glue gun, I wouldn't have any brakes. So, uh, in any case, that was I haven't messed with them again since then. I don't know for sure that if I bled the left brake, the rear brake, that it would hold pressure again, or if it would leak, or if there was a reason that they were leaking. It just might not have been uh, connected well at the point inside. I didn't, they were already done, so it may have not been seated well inside there when you connect. Change the brakes a million times now, so you have to push in while you're tightening that point in there so that it seals well, and that could have been the issue. I didn't, like I said, I didn't spend a lot of time doing that. I got the new brakes. I changed them out. They work great. Boom, everything is fine. Um, so I did not get the new brakes that was supposed to come with the Klima because the first ones that I got were didn't have the right cables, and I had to revert back to the old style brakes, which I don't know what the difference was, but I don't have a problem. I mean, they look a little different. The brakes, the other ones have a little ball on the end, so to speak, and these are just regular. They don't have that. They don't have that little ball on the end of the lever. That's the only difference I noticed. So that's not a big deal. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up. You guys, I will probably schedule my next one. We'll see. I'm going to think about it maybe tomorrow. If not, maybe the day after. See if I can come up with a video as well to do before then. I'll do one or the other for sure. Maybe both if I can. But it's been fun. Thank you guys for showing up. I appreciate everybody. James, Retro Shaver, Big Boys, all you guys. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate you keeping the conversation going, and I look forward to chatting it up with you guys again. Gear up.